All right, guys, good evening. Welcome back. So this is ACCA SBL September 2020 meeting 3. Because in the first meeting, we discussed the case study, we discussed the question, reading, understanding, interpreting, and all. In the second meeting, which was the first meeting of the answer, we discussed two requirements, requirement 1 and 2. And then in today's meeting, which is our third meeting, let me share my screen, which is our last meeting actually, third and last meeting, and we'll be discussing the remaining two requirements, requirement 3 and requirement 4. So very interesting and easy to understand requirement. Okay. As usual, I said like this attempt September 2020 was a different one, a unique one, because it's a charitable organization, a non-profit charitable organization. Okay, but yes, it has their own challenges and their competition and marketing and all that stuff. Okay. I want you guys to solve it first. Okay, if you're watching it for the first time, those who are watching it for the first time, I want you guys to first read it, attempt it, and then watch my videos. Because if you watch it right now and then you're going to attempt it, you already have the you already have the wordings and the ideas and everything, which is actually not your ideas. These are actually my ideas, my suggestion. Okay, so I want you to solve it first, and then so if you have not solved it, just pause it, because otherwise you're going to miss a very ideal case study. We have limited case studies, so I don't want you to miss any case study. Okay, so here it is. Let me go and see requirement 3. You must have your question paper with you, because I already have it, and I have two screens. One screen you see my body language, and the second one is we'll be solving some answer thing. All right, it's requirement 3. The chairperson, and we already discussed in the previous meeting, is a new chairperson. The new chairperson, I'm saying new chairperson. The chairperson is asked to meet with the CEO to discuss the BCO's. BCO is the name of the organization. BCO's current risk management approach. Okay. The chairperson has concerned that the current risk register does not adequately evaluate the seriousness of the risk identified, and some relevant risks are not covered at all. He is also, because he's a new guy, okay, he is also concerned that the risk mitigating activities are inadequate in the light of the recent changes and events in the external environment. So there are two things. One, according to the new guy, the chairman, I'm not talking about the CEO. CEO is the old guy, okay? According to the new chairman, according to him, the current risk register, which the old management or the existing management, they have made it, the current risk register does not cover all the risk. And second issue is that the risk, the first one is all the risks are not covered. The second, according to him, as per his perspective, according to him, the risk mitigating activities, the risk management activities are not sufficient, not good at all. Okay, so okay, the CEO disagrees. Why? Because CEO is the owner. CEO is the owner of that risk register. Okay, here you go. This is your requirement 3. The problem is, here you go, the chairman. According to chairman, the risks plus the risk management activities, like both the things are, the risk and the risk management activities, both are not adequate. This is according to the chairman. Now look at the CEO. The CEO, who is actually the owner, of all these things, whatever is going on in the business, well, as per annual report or risk management or the culture or the strategy or whatsoever, CEO actually owns it. Okay, so the CEO disagrees and thinks that the risk register and its risk mitigating activities are sufficient. That's a perception thing, and are sufficient, and that the chairperson is overreacting to the BCOs. This is the perception of the CEO. According to CEO, he or she is saying that this new guy is overreacting. He's over concerned. The new chairperson is overreacting to the BCO's latest financial result and the industry recent research report. She has asked you, she means the CEO, she has asked for your assistance on this matter. Okay, what is the requirement now? What you have to do as a student, as the consultant or whatsoever. Required, prepare a confidential report. Like it's not for the external party or maybe not all for the stakeholders, it's for a particular guy. Prepare a confidential report, evaluates the BCO's current risk register and the adequacy of each of the risk mitigating activities, clearly highlighting whether the chairperson's concerns are justified. Okay, so it means you're writing a confidential report for your boss. And who's your boss right now? Your boss is the CEO. Okay, it's you. That's you preparing a confidential report, not for the chairman. It's not for the chairman. It is only for the CEO. So when you'll be writing is to, from, date and all that, so you actually addressing to the CEO, and when you're writing the words and all that, keep this thing in mind that you're just talking to your CEO. It's not a public report, not even for all the internal stakeholders, even not even for the chairman. This is a confidential report. And now what you have to do is, see, number one, you'll need to consider all the risks which are in the risk register. Let's see in the exhibit, which exhibit we have. It is exhibit 2, no, it's 3, no, it's 4. This is exhibit number 5. Exhibit 5, footnote 5, the BCO's latest risk register. And if you look at this exhibit 5, which is on page number 10, if you look at this risk register, in this risk register, you'll find 1, 2, 3, and 4 risks. There are 4 risks, and then there are management activities. How to manage the risk. 4 risks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the risk management activities. You have 2 assignments actually. The first assignment is check the risk, whether the risks identified in the risk register are adequate, whether they are relevant, make sure they're not useless, and ensure that this new guy, whether he's overreacting or not. Okay, this is the first assignment. The second assignment you have is the risk management activities, which are also in the risk management register. That whatever the risk you have identified, now the risk management activities are there. You don't need to provide new risk management activities. No, that's not the requirement, because there's so many students, they're confused in this thing that, okay, we have identified the risk and now providing you the risk management activity. This is never asked. They're asking you to evaluate, number 1, about the risk, and number 2, about the risk management activities, like the control stuff. Whatever the controls are there, do you think these controls and these risk management activities, whether in terms of insurance or transfer or acceptance or reduction or avoidance or whatever TARA activities, do you think these activities are sufficient and adequate, are reasonable, or the person is overreacting? Okay, that's what you need to do. Okay, so it means there are 2 requirements, although they have mentioned just 1 requirement, but there is an end thing, because there is what is the concern of the chairman? The concern of the chairman, it's not only about the risk management activity, it's about 2 things. 1 on the risk, and second is about the risk management activities. He has problem with both. Okay, and I'm sure they'll be providing you the professional marks on critical questioning, skepticism. Like you don't need to be biased. You need to maintain your professional skepticism. You cannot assume CEO or chairman as honest or dishonest, or these activities as sufficient or insufficient. No, you work with your questioning mind, with your critical mind. Okay, let's see. It's a very good question, very easy question, very interesting question, and when easy to understand it, you can do it real good. And one more thing, there's huge subjectivity in this. Let me tell you one thing. Risk appetite. Sorry, not writing. Or I say attitude towards risk. You'll have total different answer compared to other student or other your peer friends or peer students. Maybe when you come out of the examination hall, one of the guys say, hey, I think the chairman was overreacting in all the activities. The chairman was overreacting, all the risks were fine, all the risk management activities were fine. But maybe you are the guy saying, No, the chairman was right. He was not overreacting. Our risk register is not. It all depends upon your glasses, what you wearing, how you look at the risk, what sort of risk appetite, and what sort of guy you are. Okay, because there are people who are so risk averse. For them, like very little risk, they feel it huge, and there are people they take risk. Okay, so let's look here. So our relevant is exhibit number 5. Let's start from here. Okay, so you need to start your question with, again, with the format that you're writing it to the report, to the CEO, and your date and all that, and your subject matter. What is the subject matter? Evaluating risk register, or evaluating the risk and risk mitigating activities. Okay, now first of all, obviously you'll be starting like this. Let me see myself. You'll be starting with this. Then what is the objective of this report? Like, I'm writing this report to the CEO, and I'm writing this report, and the objective of this report to evaluate the risk register and to ensure whether the risk activities or the risk mitigating activities are sufficient enough, or in case, because we have the new chairperson here, and the new chairperson, I have to make sure whether these things are sufficient and reasonably good, or the person is right, the other guy, the chairperson. Okay, then you'll be starting number 1 risk. So, and then you'll be starting like this. There are 4 risks currently in our existing register. In our existing current risk register, we have 4 risks and their risk management activities. So the first risk is what? Now let me go and see. Fundraising pressure. That's always there. Fundraising pressure. Okay. Now, potential impact: insufficient income to cover expenditure, reputational risk of campaigns or method used to raise funds. These are the potential impact. What do you think? What is your perspective? Is this the real risk which is present currently in the current risk register? You see, yes, it is, because they already have this uncertain income issue. If you look at now here, you need to link it up with the financial statement, the annual report. We already have in, I will exhibit 2 or 3 somewhere. Okay, if you look at the annual report and you see the bottom line, which is the surplus or the profit or whatever deficit you say, if you look at that thing, it's already declining. It's already declining compared to 2000. Now this you have to write in the examination. Compared to 2000, if you look at 2001, our funds, our donations, our income is actually down, our expenditures are up. So yes, the fundraising pressure is there, and this looks like an adequate, like a real risk is there. Okay. Second, the sale of property. If there was a one-off event in 2001, if we don't have that one-off event, our income is like extremely down compared to this 2000. So yes, this risk look like a real risk, and the chairperson is overreacting in this case, according to my perception and according to my viewpoint. Okay, because yes, there is a fundraising pressure, there is an economic recession going on. Look at the financials, look at the environment thing. You can write this point. Look at the social environment, the donor fatigue and all that, the social environment. So yes, it looks like a real risk. Now this is the half requirement you've done. Okay, first of all, you'll need to do what? The risk, whether the risk is good or not, it should be there or not. So according to my perspective, yeah, it has to be there. Now look at the risk mitigating activities for this risk number 1, fundraising. Okay, now what are the risk mitigating activities there? Implementing appropriate cost budget. Okay, in our risk register right now, they have, what is the first activity? They put cost budget. Okay, so it means our risk register is saying right now, our risk register is saying that if we'll have a budget, a cost budget in process, we can increase our revenue. Do you think this is the right way to manage this risk? I don't think so. Okay, if you make a budget is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Budget is a good thing, but it's not a real risk mitigating activity for this particular risk. Budget is one of the risk management activity, and it manages so many things. Okay, yes, you do cost control and all that, but how can it bring more funds? Like if I want to increase my income and I prepare budgets, no, that's not going to work. So here you say, yes, this risk mitigating activity by managing, by planning and by budgeting and all that, this is not sufficient enough to do this fundraising, to do this, to cover up this risk. Okay, for that we need to have some good marketing strategies and all that. Second, monitor the adequacy of financial returns achieved, like benchmarking comparison. Okay, you know what is benchmarking. Okay, like you comparing at the end of the quarter, you comparing your thing, your results with your competitors, or your results with your other branches and your results with the previous year. That is also a good way to control it and good way to plan it. Like this benchmarking thing, it's a good thing, but it also, once again, it supports next year budget, next year plans and all that. But how can it like increase your funds right away? So once again, there is no as such direct relationship, looks like, with this benchmarking event. Although it's a good control as well. Like in terms of control, it is fine, but seems like a reactive, but not the proactive one. Then report fundraising activities to stakeholders in annual report. Okay, it means you're saying that you will prepare maybe good reports to your shareholders, to your stakeholders. You'll have good governance reports. Huh? You'll have good, maybe more transparent and more audited reports or something. But once again, how can you increase the funds? If we'll have good communication, if we'll have more report, more transparency and all that, how can it increase, or how can you make sure that your funds would be there in 2001, 2002? So yes, if you look at the risk side, the chairman was overreacting. The risk is there. But if you look at the risk mitigating activities which our current registrar owns, as per my perspective, like you say like this in examination, as per my perspective, here the chairman is right, and we need to, with the same risk, we need to have more risk management strategy and a different risk management strategies to cover up this thing. Okay. Now, second, see the requirement says clearly you'll need to say whether the guy is overreacting or not. Clearly. Okay. Now the second risk, and then loss of key staff. Loss of key staff. Do you think this is a risk? Yes, because staff, employees are one of our key stakeholders. Remember, in the first requirement, we talk about our mission and all that. Staff, very important, especially our trained staff, good staff. We need to retain them. If we lose our staff, which are expert and which are trained, ultimately it is going to affect our mission, and ultimately it is going to affect our strategic objective. Hope you remember those three strategic objectives we discussed in the previous meeting. It is going to affect our strategic objective. It is going to affect our, I'd say, your overall performance of BCO. And currently, if you see the non-financial indicators, if you see 2000 and 2001, what do you see? Your employees are going down. Your employees are going down, although the volunteers are fine and they're going up, but your employees are going down. So if you look at that non-financial indicator, number of employees, they're going down. Let me see here. Yes, number of employees going down. So yes, it's a serious threat for us. We not only we have to provide education, we give them education, but we need to retain them as well. And this is a threat compared to 2000 and 2001. So yes, our current risk register, if saying this loss of key staff, yes, it is one of our big risks. And here I don't agree with the chairman. Here I don't agree with the chairman. I am with the CEO. Okay, yeah, this is a real risk. Okay, loss of key staff. Now, what about the risk? For this risk, what about the risk management activities? Now I have to see. The risk management number one activity is the succession planning. Do you know what is succession planning? Yes, you know that. Okay. Like when your good days are going on, you need to be prepared for your bad days. Okay, just like in Monarch. Okay, just like in board of directors. When you already have the management and existing staff are there and the training is going on, you need to find out new people or existing people in your organization, do the appraisal, do some training. This is called succession planning. And in case if these guys, they're dead or retired or maybe whatsoever, if they leave, you'll have a backup plan. So yes, do you think succession planning is one of the good risk management activities to cover up this risk, the loss of key staff? The answer is yes. It's a good one, because every time, whenever you see, when in any organization, whenever you see the people have this risk, the first thing what they do is the backup plan, which is called succession planning. This is very important. So yes, that's sufficient. Agree notice period and handovers. Okay, it means you are not an employer would say the free will employee and free will employer. What do you mean by free will employer? Free will employer and free will employee means anytime if the employer wants to kick employee, say, okay, you may go. And the free will employee means anytime the employee can say, okay, just like in US market normally, it's a very liberal market. There are no emotions in this market. In this market, if sometime the person say, okay, I don't want to work, okay, right away he or she may leave. Like there is no notice period as such. There is no notice period. Okay, so here, okay. So here the thing is, now what's the second one? Sorry. Agree notice period. So if you're a free will employee, definitely this risk is too high. This risk is too high if you're a free will employer. So this is also a good risk management strategy, like a reasonable notice. Because what will happen if you all have a reasonable notice, if the employee will get you some reasonable notice, some legal notice, something, what will happen as per law, as per policy, or as per agreement, what will happen? You will get a chance to cover up or find out a new employee, or maybe you already have this succession planning thing and you can manage it and cover up this risk. Review recruitment process and policy. Review recruitment policy, process and policy. Although this looks like, you know, some sort of a proactive thing, because if you have a good recruitment process, means good advertisement process, healthy interviews and testing and all that. If the overall process is effective, ultimately you'll be able to get good employees, competent employees, committed employees, and long-term employees. Okay, so yeah, this is also a secondary type risk management activity, but not bad. Okay, so in this case here, the loss of key staff thing, I say, in the previous one, I was with the chairman, but here I say the risk management activity and the risk looks good, looks reasonable. If they're working effectively, it looks fine. Okay. Let me tell you one very important thing here. You might have heard about this nomination committee, or you might have heard about this remuneration committee, which sets the remuneration of the board of directors and all. See, establishing committee, establishing document, preparing documents is nothing if they're not working effectively. That's a very important point. Also, you can write this point in a separate paragraph. If you have an audit committee comprises of all the executive directors, there is no independence. If you have two boards, the same membership, same executive director, and the same CEO is the chairman of the supervisory board, it's useless. It's good for nothing. And you're saying, see, we have the audit committee, we got the remuneration committee, we have the nomination committee and all. I remember there was a case study in ACCA P1, there was a remuneration committee, and they were bringing a CEO and executives, and this committee was comprising of non-executive directors. Good point. There was a remuneration committee comprised of non-executive directors, all that, and they had to set the remuneration and all. But the chairman of the remuneration committee was a good buddy and good friend of the coming in member, the person who was coming in. And they both were good friends. Although you have the remuneration committee and the members and everything, where is the independence? So having the committee, but with people without training, without independence, without competence, it's useless. Okay. One more thing. Not only you have to have a committee plus the documents, which I say the risk register, but also you need to have a good membership, a healthy membership. Comprises of what? Plus, very important thing here. You have the committee, you have good documents going on, you have very competent and independent people. Let me write here, trained plus independent people, all fine, but they don't meet. There are no meetings. Okay, we have the committee, we have the members, we have the board of directors name, we put it in the annual report, we have the risk register and all that, but they never meet, or even if they meet, it's an ineffective board meeting. Like sometimes there are 10 members, sometimes one guy is present, sometimes 2 are absent. What is this? So regular meeting, that's also very important. Now you see in this case, if you look at the risk committee, you see the people are non-executive people. Maybe they're aged or all that. Look at the membership of the people, look at the composition of the committee, and how often regularly they meet, what sort of diversity they have, and how regularly meet. Because in this case, they just meet once in a year. So if you are in an environment which is a turbulent environment, which is a fast and dynamic and uncertain and competitive environment, meeting once or two, that's very, very insufficient. So, and sometimes the environment is changing. We discussed in the previous meeting, the environment is continuously changing. Maybe when you start this organization, your environment was stable, but now due to changes in environment, due to changes in competition, due to changes in law and all that, the environment is changing. So maybe you need to change your composition and your membership and your training and development thing, and the frequency of meeting as well. Okay, well, let's move on. The third risk, increased competition in the sector. Okay, third one, competition. Do you think this risk is sufficient? Increased competition in the sector, which has an impact of loss of income and reduced public profile. Okay, if you look at the case study, if you look at the exhibit, if you look at the annual reports and all that, it says yes, your income is going down, and it says yes, there are so many challenges right now. If you look at the articles, exhibit, last 2 exhibit, the articles, it says yes, there is a challenge on this charity sector. And then if you look at the case study, it also says just like private and commercial organization, these charities also facing competition, and they need to have some sort of website and e-business and all marketing stuff and all that. So they have this commercial cost pressure. The overall the law and the political and the economic environment, it's not supporting at all. So yes, we see the intensity of competition in this sector, and especially for when you talk about the BCO, yes, because there are other charities as well, for the poor people, for the education, for the health, for the overall environment, for the society, for child labor. There's so many causes there. So yes, you have, and people have limited funds already. Economic recession is going on. See, let's say after satisfying all my wants and luxuries and all my needs, I got just left with, let's say, with just a $10. Okay, now this $10, because every home has their own policy, every household their own policy. Let's say, as per our policy, monthly, let's say we do $100 charity. Where to do? Should we go to? Because there's so many charities there. There's so many charitable organizations there. And we have limited funds, and already the recession is there, so the funds are decreasing. So see, the intensity of competition is up. Now, with this $100, how to distribute it? Should we give it to the child labor people? Should to the discrimination, though working for the women rights, for the animal rights, for the children rights, or what? So intensity of competition is there. So yes, here I'm standing with my CEO, okay, and this guy is overreacting here. This is yes, it's the risk. Now look at the look at the risk mitigating activities here in risk number 3, competition. Whether they have managed competition or not. Monitor methods of service delivery. Monitor methods of service delivery. Okay, this you said, like you monitoring method of your product delivery, whatever your service or product delivery. Okay, this is what you do. Do you think If you monitor your services, like the way you providing services right now, the way you're doing your operations right now, if you monitor your services, is it going to give you a competitive edge? I don't think so. Until and unless, after monitoring your method of providing service and delivery, until and unless you add value in it, you add value in your service. See, you add value in your service. What do you mean by what do you mean by getting a competitive edge? It means whenever the donor or whenever the employee, whenever the customer, or whenever the people want to visit a charitable organization, you get a competitive edge. You get a preference compared to your competitor. By just monitoring your services, it is not going to affect the customer or the donor. So you need to add some sort of value in your service, maybe some sort of value in terms of, let's say, the transparency or whatever the consumer or whatever the donor values. So ultimately you have to do what? You need to do more research in the market. You need to do more research in the environment. You need to do some sort of customer benchmarking, donor benchmarking and all that, taking feedback from them, giving back to the community more. This way you will able to get competitive advantage, like more increasing value. So here, once again, I'm with the chairman, that he's not overreacting. One more, monitor public awareness and profile. Same case, monitor public awareness and profile. Here it means you're doing some sort of environmental thing, but you need to do more, because when it's about doing a competition, see, when it's about getting a competitive edge, what do you need to do? Understand what people want. Okay, and then you provide value to them. Plus, to be more competitive, you need to reduce the cost. You need to get more competitive pricing. Here, what you're doing, you actually increase, in the previous meeting we discussed, you actually increase the admission fee. When you have already increased the admission fee, it means you becoming less attractive for the people, those who are visiting the charitable organization or the animal habitats and all that. So you need to be more competitive in terms of pricing. How can you do that? When you can manage your cost, when you can add more value, when you do very important thing, when you do marketing. And right now we are not good at marketing because we don't have any e-business stuff, we don't have any website ready. We will be launching it, but here right now we're not that good. Okay, then come operating in dangerous location around the world. Okay, yeah, you're dealing with the animals, operating in dangerous location around the world. First of all, are they doing global work? Yes or no? Yes, the answer is yes. And they are dealing with highly specialized, but those species or those animals which are especially at threat. So what do you do? What is your actual product? What is your actual mission? You're not working for the pet dogs or pet cats, or the people, those who have some COVID issue or COVID problem going on, and or maybe the people due to this earthquake and all that, and the owners or the household, they're gone due to their income or due to their health and all that, they have their dogs left, and you're dealing with those cute puppies and cute dogs, pet dogs. No, you're talking about those species, those animals which are especially a threat. So it means you definitely go to locations, or your employees or your staff, they go such locations which are dangerous. That's what say, operating in dangerous locations around the world. You do research globally, that where is that such problem going on, which such animals are there, which such species are there. You need to do a lot of research, and even you have to go there. Like, this is called the hands-on work. It's not only about the computer work, or you just posting your pictures, taking pictures somewhere, downloading picture, uploading, creating, although that's a big job. Okay, but going right on the spot physically and help the animal, that's a different thing. And you bring actually the animal, and then you return it to to their original heritage. Staff and volunteers injured or killed carrying out their responsibility. Okay, yes, that's a risk. That's a risk, and it's good to have this in the risk register. It has to be, it should be in the risk register. And here again, I'm with my CEO here. What are the risk mitigating activities for this last risk? Number 4, monitor and review activities in recognize dangerous location and procedure to remove staff and procedures to remove staff at short notice. Closely work with local security and safety services, regular training. Okay, yeah, it looks like reasonable. Like, let's say they're saying we do monitor and review the security procedure. We do monitor and review the activities, like how we go, what's the process, how we used to go, how we currently going in recognized dangerous location. Yeah, it means they are not only identifying the risk, identifying the dangerous location, and then what they do, dangerous location and procedures to remove staff at short notice. Yes, not only they are identifying the dangerous location, but also they have to, which is not mentioned actually, they have to evaluate it, like the probability, like the consequences, although it says the consequences are high and all that. So yes, they need to regularly coordinate with the security staff or new security or the activities through which they can minimize the risk. Closely work with local security. Yeah, that's a good point. Closely work with local security and safety services, and regular training to the staff, because the more you have trained staff, the more training you give them, especially in terms of health and safety issue, the more secure and safe they are. Because if they are not trained, just giving an example, let's say this is a flight, this is an aircraft, airline, whatever, and in this flight there are 300 passengers. Just giving you an example, the 300 passengers, and all are frequent flyers, okay, like every month, every year they fly, regularly fly. Just imagine, in case of emergency landing or some bumpy clouds or something like that, what do you think? This airline, which has 300 passengers who are frequent flyers, who know how to use seatbelt and all that, and who have seen all these experiences, compared to a flight which has the same 300 passengers and they're flying for the first time, what do you think? I know is everywhere, whether you are expert or not. But if you are trained and if you're experienced, and if you have seen such things, compared to this flight, which there are new flyers, new guys, and the new pilot and all that, this is much safer. Okay, risk is everywhere, but compared to this, relatively. So when they say regular training, yes, this is one of the good risk management strategy. If you give them training in terms of health and safety and all that, the equipment, the security staff, and yes, good communication, yes, they can manage this particular risk, this dangerous location, all that. Okay. The risk committee chaired by the BCO's chairperson and has 2 other board of trustees member, which are once again non-executive people. The committee meets once a year to review. That was good, but now when the environment is so dynamic, the PESTEL model we already discussed in requirement 1, once a year to review the risk register. Once a year to review the risk register. They should at least do it like quarterly or half yearly. And the activities being undertaken by the BCO to monitor and manage the risk. Okay, there you go. So in this requirement, the requirement 3, there were actually 4 paragraphs. You need to write 4 paragraphs. In every paragraph, you'll have to provide a conclusion clearly. Let me go again the requirement, because it says clearly, number 3, yes, here. Prepare a confidential report and all that. Risk prevention, clearly highlighting whether the chairperson's concerns are justified or not, whether he was overreacting or not. Okay, so yes, we use our skepticism skill. We use our questioning mind, our critical mind. We were not like that, yeah, he's my CEO, he's my immediate boss, so I'm gonna be biased. No. You have to write this way, that whatever is right. Okay, let's go on number 4. That's once again very easy requirement. Soon after you complete your report on the BCO's risk register, like once you're done with that risk register thing and risk mitigating activities, you attended a meeting. back-to-back meeting you attending. Okay? It's a very professional paper, SBL. It's telling you the professional life, the real life back-to-back meetings. You attended a meeting with the CEO, once again your boss, and the chief financial officer, the CFO. At the meeting, the CEO now is the CEO who is raising the issue. It's not the chairman, because in the initial 3 requirements, the chairman was like this. Now here the CEO is saying, at the meeting, the CEO raised her concern that the board of trustees does not have a sufficient mix of a skill, you mean diversity, and that the management board had, in the recent past not undertaken sufficient professional development. Okay, head in the way. Okay, she has requested a meeting with the chairperson to discuss the issues further. The CEO has asked for your assistance in preparing for this meeting. Like in the previous requirement, what happened? The chairperson was saying that I'm not satisfied with your risk management and all that. Now here the CEO is saying that, Mr. Chairman, I need to see you for 2 things. One, your board members, the board of trustees, see here, there are 2 boards. One is the board of trustees. He's saying, Mr. Chairperson, your board of trustees lack diversity. Okay, so we need to do something for that. And my board, which is called the management board, is not taking regular CPD program, continuing professional development training program, right? Okay, prepare a briefing paper for the CEO, you're writing for your CEO, which explains, what you all need to explain is, number 1, the importance for the BCO's board of trustees, number 1 board, this board. Requirement 1 is for this board. The importance for the BCO's board of trustees to have a sufficient mix of skills and diversity. The importance, okay. So in requirement 1, what you need to explain that what's the importance of diversity at BCO board of trustees, the top board, okay? Like if they have the good diversity and good mix of skills and good variety of people, what is the importance of having a fruit salad? I call it fruit salad. Second, the importance, what is the second requirement? The second requirement is the importance of continuing professional development. The importance of continuing professional development for the BCO's management board. Now, second requirement is for the management board. Okay, this board, this lower board, management board. The importance of CPD, the importance of CPD for the BCO's management board members to ensure that the BCO meet its obligation to its stakeholders. Okay, good. Like, what's the importance of CPD for management board to ensure, and which helps or which assists them in satisfying their stakeholders' liabilities, stakeholders' obligations, satisfying their stakeholder needs. Okay, right, let's go. And once again, your marks for commercial acumen, a good business sense. Like, tell them those advantages which are real good, which justifies CBA, cost benefit analysis. Let's see. It's a briefing paper starting with number 1 paragraph. Number 1, requirement 1 is the importance of the BCO's board of trustees to have sufficient mix of skills and diversity. So for that, you'll need to go to the exhibit first. Look at what's the existing situation. Maybe they already have the diversity. You are advising about the diversity and mix of skill. Let's say all are young people. Then you're writing in your because of those learning and because of those ratifying thing, you're saying that we need to have young people. They'll say, what sort of young people? We already have people with 25 or 30 years of age. So just look at the members first. Okay, which exhibit? It is exhibit number 2, about us page. The board of trustees. We got 2-tier board. The board of trustees. Okay. So we have this chairperson Randy Jeffels, 61 years old. Let's look at the age factor first. Okay, you start like this. The diversity, the variety, and the mix of skill is very important for any committee, especially when you're talking about the board level, because they are responsible for the overall organization. They are responsible for the overall monitoring and environment, setting strategies and all that. Yes, that's a very important thing. And having a good, healthy conflict and productive conflict, for that, diversity is very important. You start like this. Now, first of all, you look at the age. Okay, if you look at the age of 61, 68, 73, 75, just one guy under 50, 48, and then 58. So first of all, you say, yes, the people are here aged, okay? The mostly 60 plus. Obviously, when you are aged, it also affects your, say, affects your mood, your energy level. Maybe, although you are experienced, when you have the age, you are experienced, but in terms of energy, in terms of creativity, in terms of that old school thing, in terms of, dealing with the latest, that's the practical problem. That's the practical problem of the organization, especially in the organization when you have this old guys sitting in the board and sitting in the management or controlling the whole department. They don't welcome technology, latest tech, because they are fine with their old books. They are satisfied because they're doing it for the last 50, 60 years and they are experienced. Nobody can challenge their practices, because if you go and give them recommendations in this, they ask you this question, Mister, what's your age? And you say, my age is 25. Although you are giving the right recommendation, but he will ask you, what's your age? And you say, my age is 25. It means I am 25 years old in this world. And he will reply you that I have more experience in this company than you have in the world, in the planet. Okay? Like your age is 25 and I'm working for the last 50 years. He'll give you a shut up call right away. So that's the thing. So yes, the first recommendation is to have young people or a mix of people, mix of age. In terms of age, diversity is very important so that we can have energy level, the emotional thing, and then your mood and your creativity, and you are more aware of the latest tech. So the first paragraph, first point, in terms of diversity, because diversity is not always about the age diversity. Age is one of the factors. So that's the importance. Second, when you have the diversity in terms of skills, diversity in terms of skill, what happened? You have this healthy conflicts because people are coming from variety of backgrounds. You can write this term, variety of backgrounds. And when they are coming from variety of backgrounds, you get what? You get more experienced decision making, more effective decision making. Say experienced and effective decision making. You get more viewpoints when it's about analysis, because what the board does, board of directors, what they do, this committee actually they put up matters and then everybody give their opinion and they do some arguments, they challenge each other opinion. When you can do that, you cannot do that if you belong to the same blood, if you belong to the same family, you belong to the same qualification, you belong to the same age, then you can't do it. So it's better to have one member there. There would be no healthy conflict. So yes, with the help of this mix of skills and education, yes. Then what else? Currently, if you see, Rainy joined the board in August, and this time he has master degree in economics and joined the BCR. Okay. Dr. Boris is doctorate in literature. If you look at their backgrounds, okay, if you look at their backgrounds, now one of the things, sometimes you try to attract board of directors or you try to get people from the similar industry. Let's say if I have the departmental store, if I have a big departmental store, I want any manager or any person coming from the retail industry. Say, okay, if you have the experience in retail, you were the chairman there or the CEO there, non-executive there, okay, I welcome you. It means we understand this point. Just, okay, let me give you an example. let's say you work 40-50 years in public sector. You had a government job, okay, government job, and you worked 40 years there, and now you got the retirement. After the retirement, if you go and sit in the board of directors of any private company or any commercial organization, do you think you'll be successful? One of the argument is no, because throughout your life, what is your state of mind? You worked in a non-profit organization. Government is a non-profit organization. You worked in a non-profit organization. You had no pressure of return on capital employed or earning per share and all that. And now you're sitting in a board of directors for commercial company, for turbulent environment, fast changing environment. You won't be successful. This is one argument. But now see here. We're talking about the charity. And the person is from the commercial retail background, commercial background, okay? Do you think it's good to have people from commercial background and give them good position in this BCO charitable organization? So here, one of the argument is yes, because in the previous meeting, we already talked and look at the environment and look at the articles and all that. Nowadays, this charity and this charitable sector is more like commercial sector. They have, once again, I'm repeating, they have once again the same environment thing. They have the dynamic environment, they have the competition, they have the cost pressure, they're also facing the recession and all. So yes, it's good to have people from commercial background. But if you see the board of trustees here at BCO leadership, only 1 or 2 guys have commercial experience. Otherwise, all old boys, they don't have any commercial experience. And they've been there for last 12, 13, 14 years. Now, one more thing. Staying in the organization. People are here staying for last 10 years, 13 years. It means there is no retirement by rotation. Those who are in the organization, they were the friend of the founder members. They were the friend of the previous lady. I don't know what was the name. Let me see. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's on the first page. Okay, so they were the friend and they were the founder member and all that. So yeah, it means there is no as such retirement by rotation, or there is no as such room for the fresh blood here. So here you can advise and you can give importance of the fresh blood or the new blood, because when you all have the fresh and new blood coming in, you'll have more innovation, you'll get more creativity. They will be more capable of this new environment, the latest environment. Okay, that's the point. So yes, the diversity, healthy conflict, age diversity. One more thing, gender diversity. Gender diversity. You're a global organization, you have people all over the world. So here what it says, Mrs. the chairperson is male, Dr. this Sir Henry, male, okay, Stelly. Okay, things like the gender diversity is fine. There are 2, 3 female also there, so that's a balance here. Okay, now the second requirement is it's about the CPD. Now the first requirement was about the board of trustees, the board of trustees and the diversity. The second requirement in the same case is about the management board. Now the board which is responsible for the day-to-day operation, all that. And what is the importance of CPD, continuing professional development? Because the board of directors or the professionals, these people, they are just like a smartphone. Okay, they're like a smartphone. Let me see myself. They are like a smartphone. And what do you do with the smartphone? It's not like when you buy, once you bought the smartphone, you just charge it and that's it. No. It requires a regular and continuous charge. It requires regular, and that's called continuous professional development for the professionals. So the people doing ACCA SBL and all that, especially people sitting in the big position on the professional level, they want a continuous charge, and that continuous charge is called continuous professional development. Okay. Now, what is the importance of CPD if we have this CPD programs regularly to our management board, not the board of trustees? That was the first requirement. The first thing. if they are more trained and if they are continuously and regularly trained, they will better understand the environment. And if they better understand the environment, they'll be in a good position to set strategic objectives, or the objectives which are already set, the 3 strategic objectives. They will be in a good position to understand the environment and handle those strategic objectives, and making good strategies, appropriate strategies to achieve those objectives by having a trained people in the ship, a trained people in the cockpit, a trained people as captain. Okay, that's the first important point. If they get regular training, they will better understand the environment in setting strategies and all that. Like, they will have a different perspective now because they're trained people. Second, aware of latest tech, latest technology, which is very important for BCO right now, as already they have this budget thing of e-business, and they're going for search engine optimization, digitalization, marketing, and social media, and having their website and all that. So if our board of directors, the management boards, because they are engaged with the day-to-day activities, if they do this CPD thing and they regularly conduct the CPD program and they're aware of this latest technology, it's good for us, and it will also help them in making some new marketing strategies. And with that marketing strategy, what will happen? We'll able to get some good funds, some good income, which we actually wanted. Okay, so yeah, this is important right now. Then what else? Regulations, laws. This BCO in charitable sector, this is currently under so much scrutiny and so much laws, so much complex laws are there. You have seen the article, you can relate that article. Okay, the charitable organization, the charitable sector, they are constantly under pressure due to this government thing and all, due to the legal pressure, due to the economical pressure and all that. So yes, if they have this CPD training and CPD program, they will better understand the law, they will better understand the piece of regulation, and they can better manage this compliance risk. Okay, one more thing is, when you have good CPD programs and regular CPD program, the soft skills also enhance. Okay, the soft skills also enhance, and also the psychological and social benefits board of directors have, because normally they are busy people and they don't get time to meet up and all that. With the help of this CPD and these training program, they can have this psychological and social benefits as well, like good job satisfaction, all that. One very important point here is, normally you do in motivation, all that, especially when you're done with ACCF or not. See, if you're working at lower level, let's say at a supervisory level or the operational level, what is your motivating factor? Very motivating factor is your salary and your medical allowance and the transportation allowance and the rent allowance. That's it. But when you grow, when you at the managerial level and senior manager level, the board of director level, what is the important thing that actually motivates you is the training. What I say is the growth. What I say it's the learning. That is a very important motivating factor for people at professional level. So when in your organization and when you'll have this culture of learning, it will not only effect, or it will not only set the example for the overall organization, because see, the board of directors, when they're learning, so definitely there would be a culture of learning will start. Okay, that's one thing. Second, they will also motivate, and they will be this organization, the BCO, will better able to retain these folks. Okay, if you want to retain these guys, you need to give them training. It means like you need to tell them that yes, if you are here, we not only you adding value to the organization, and also in return the organization giving you some back. Okay, so that's the thing. It was an easy requirement. See, requirement 3 and requirement 4 was very easy. And when you have this easy, and especially when easy to understand requirement, you can play, in good areas, you can have some good argument. Sometimes students have, what's the problem? What's the major problem with the student? They say, we don't understand the requirement. Especially for 1 or 2 requirements, they say, we do not understand the requirement. Like, what's they asking? Because sometimes you see people, they say, solve our problem. solve our problem. You see people have a lot of gatherings and all that, and they say, solve our problem, solve our needs. And when you go and ask them, what's your need? They say, I don't know. We don't know what's actually our problem. So until and unless you understand the requirement, you read and understand and interpret the requirement, you understand the question, how can you give a good answer? So if you have the requirement, I don't say it's easy requirement. If it is easy to understand requirement, there are chances that in return you'll have a good response and good answer as well. You'll be providing good points and good logical arguments as well, because you have the concept ready, you have the course ready, everything is ready, you prepare for the exam, everything is fine. It's just if you don't understand the problem, and sometimes people don't understand the problem, don't understand the requirement, and they write whatever they know at that time. And when they came out and they asked their buddies, hey, what was requirement 3? They say, in requirement 3, you had to write, oh my God. I knew all these things, but what was the problem? I did not understand the requirement. I didn't get the requirement. So that's why I'm saying in requirement 3 and 4, like especially in September 2020, maybe it's because of the COVID or pandemic, the examiner, he go very easy. He said, okay, let's give an easy hand to them. I don't know about the marking, what they have done, but this paper, it's just a charitable paper. Otherwise, the marks or the requirement, they gave you in charity. So, all right. If you have any question or any suggestion, any feedback, you have my email or you have my WhatsApp. Even let me write WhatsApp here. So if you have any suggestion, any quick question or something like that, you can always, this is the code +1 951 380 6341. Just drop me a message for me and that'll be all yours. Thank you, and you have a great day now. Thank you and good luck.